So we just looked at integrated design, but let's say you decide that your project wants to go for a green building certification, such as LEED. What's the whole process for that, and how do we actually manage it? When it comes to going for LEED, the first thing that you want to do as early in the project as possible is register your project with the U.S. Green Building Council and the GBCI. By registering your project, you're first telling the GBCI that you want to lock yourself into a certain rating system. LEED rating systems change quite frequently, every few years, and so that actually gets you grandfathered into the current LEED version before things become harder or requirements may change. It also gives you access to LEED forms and tools that you can then share with your team members on a project that'll help you, analyze different things that are going on in your building. So getting access to the tools and letting the GBCI know your intent is definitely the first thing you want to do. Then you want to, throughout the project, track your progress and document your achievement, meaning how closer, for example, let's say we're going for the indoor water reduction credit, and we want to track our progress throughout the process. So did we order the right fixtures? Did we do our water calculations? Have these been tested? Things like that. And then once your project is done with construction, and so design and construction have completed, then you can apply for certification. Now, you don't have to know this too much, but if you're wanting to take the LEED exam, you should understand how this works. Again, at the very start, if we're going from left to right, at the very start, you want to register your project as early in design as possible. Now, there is something where you can do a split submission, meaning at the end of design, you can submit half of your LEED credits, the ones that have to do with the design phase, and those can start getting judged by the GBCI while construction's happening. And then at the end of construction, you can also submit your construction credits. That's called a split submittal. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the other alternative is submitting all of your credits at the very end of construction. Once construction is complete, then you can do that. It will go to a third-party LEED reviewer, and reviewers, will look at all your documentation and say yes or no. We need more information, and there's a little bit of a back and forth process before you get your actual certification and your LEED plaque that you can then put in your building. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit of a tool of how we know in a project, how we manage and know exactly where it is that we're going. I like to think of it as creating our sustainability dashboard, if you will. You can make it. You can use whatever tools you want, but I am showing you a tool that I've used in the industry for many years that is extremely helpful. We like to call it a LEED scorecard or a LEED action plan, but really you're creating what's called a sustainability matrix. This is a tool that's going to help you track the progress of all of your sustainability goals throughout a project. And when working in the field, I tend to give these to my team members so that they know exactly what's going on and what with every single LEED credit and what their responsibilities are. So let's take a closer look at this particular sustainability matrix. On the left-hand side, we have tended to have categories that let us categorize these as either being yes, something that the project can absolutely achieve, or we've made it, oh, okay, this is highly probable, or there's a low probability, or no, there's no way we can achieve this credit. And then we actually have the credit number and name. So this gives us a way to rate priority and which ones do we need to concentrate on, which ones are already in the bag, where should we be putting our energy and attention. Now, when it comes to deciding what is highly probable or low probability, there's a few factors. Something may be a very easy credit. So if we look at this bottom ranking, easy to hard, how difficult is it? It may be something that doesn't cost very much, but is really easy to achieve. So if we look at number one in the bottom left, versus something maybe given a probability of as being hard to achieve, meaning that it takes a lot of effort, but it's not that big on cost. That gives it a whole other different category. Or something maybe very hard and high cost. Those may be things that we want to put by the wayside. Maybe that doesn't become a priority for our projects, or maybe it does. But it's really good to assess. And in this example, certain credits may be easy to achieve, a low-hanging fruit, whereas others we have to really put a lot more effort into actually making them happen. So let's go back to the sustainability matrix. So again, after on the far left side we had all the probability of getting a credit. Then we also have here the credit number, the name, just a brief sentence about what's required for each. So in this example, construction activity pollution prevention is the first one on this list, and generally it means that we need to make an erosion and sedimentation control plan describing blah blah blah. So it's easy for our team members to quickly take a glance and know what the credit's about, even if they're not so familiar with LEED. In this matrix, we also mark whether it's a design phase oriented credit or if it's a construction phase oriented credit. We also here had a listing for what's the cost of it. Is it high cost, low cost? Is it something that's highly marketable? That was something that one of our clients wanted. And then we also have project notes. So this will tell us exactly, what is going on in this particular project. So for the example we were looking at, construction activity pollution prevention plan, maybe the project note is, the project's going to do silt fencing. We're going to, we need to hire a GC to make sure to overlook the process, and the construction kickoff is coming up soon. So that kind of gives us a little bit of status update. And then we put in here a list for action items. And again, this is just how the company I worked for really got into it. There's many ways to do this, but in the action plan is really good because it's kind of like, what is the immediate next step that needs to happen to make this credit actually achievable? So maybe the next action plan is the erosion and sedimentation control plan needs to be drafted. So that's something that is an actionable, doable item that we can focus on. So that kind of helps move things along. And then finally, at the very end, we have a whole section here where we look at, we can mark whose responsibility is involved in this credit. So maybe it's just a contractor. Maybe it's a contractor and the owner. Maybe it's a combination of people. Because a lot of times you have to have many people collaborating and working together to get something done. So, this, at least if I was then to hand this matrix to, say, the contractor could look at it and just look at all of the credits that were marked by their name, and not have to really digest every little piece of information here, but it can help narrow that down. Again, I hope this isn't something that is set in stone, but a sustainability matrix can really help you manage the goals throughout a project. Thanks.